Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right. Yeah, Jaden Rashada versus Billy Napier. That lawsuit is moving forward to discovery. We're going to talk about that. Also, Georgia Tech has stepped up for Nebraska after Nebraska tucked their tail and ran. We're going to talk all about that as well. And this lawsuit's been going on a while. It's headed to discovery, which should be very interesting.
The suspense is terrible.
That's when you get into emails and all types of communication between the individuals involved in this, and it can get a little bit ugly at times. So we're getting closer to finding out if Jaden will ever get his money that he was supposedly promised. And
where's my money? Where's my money? Yeah, you got money to pay for fake mustaches, huh?
And it was a lot of money. The judge in the case, Casey Rogers of the U.S. District Court, ruled Thursday the majority of Jaden Rashada's lawsuit against Florida, Billy Napier, and this Marcus Castro Walker, and one of their boosters, Hugh Hathcock, I think he's one of the big dogs, is moving forward. And the judge dismissed the interference claims. However, the fraudulent misrepresentation and inducement, conspiracy to commit fraud, and negligent misrepresentation claims did survive, and they will be going forward and going to trial, it appears. And this has everything to do with the $13.85 million contract that is the reason why he flipped for Miami. If you'll remember, this was a big-time four-star. He wasn't quite a five-star, but Miami had gotten him to commit.
I'd like to announce I'll be committing to the University of Miami. Go Kings.
There it is. Jaden Rashada making it official on HQ. It's all about the U, baby. What made Miami feel like the place for you?
All about the U. Miami just felt like home when I went there the second time, you know. Really, they all just hit it on the bat, you know. Miami is kind of a California vibe, so I guess that's what, you know, really set it off a little bit. And, you know, Coach JADEN, Coach Cristobal, you know, those are two proven coaches that kind of could show that they're all about winning. So that was a big part of it, too.
It's their job now to take your game to the next level.
Yeah, so they got him to flip his commitment from Miami, and he walked away from a great deal at Miami for this $13.85 deal at Florida. And I can't remember. Let me see how much he walked away from Miami. It says Jaden Rashada initially, this is AI, committed to University of Miami for $9.5 million. Then he flipped to Florida and withdrew his letter of intent for that $13.85. So he walked away from $9.5 million. Boy, that would tick you off. Can you imagine that? That was a good deal. That was more than Nico was going to get. It talks about how the Gators allegedly reneged on the unprecedented NIL collective agreement, leaving the quarterback without a school and out of millions of dollars. It says Hathcock, who I believe was the booster, allegedly boasted to Castro Walker within earshot of Rashada and his family that he would deliver whatever NIL compensation package was needed to secure Rashada's commitment to UF. And that's what the judge wrote in her ruling, and she said, and while Hathcock and Castro Walker were in the thick of initial negotiations with Rashada's agents, Hathcock allegedly said that he just listened to whatever Napier and Castro Walker told him to do. And then it says Napier's actions in concert with the surrounding circumstances alleged in the amended complaint at the very least created a plausible appearance that Castro Walker and Hathcock were acting as Rashada's apparent agents during his recruitment to Florida. And the judge said Rogers also found that Rashada sufficiently pled a fraud claim under Florida law, supporting his allegations with extensive pre-discovery evidence to support his factual allegations. Now, there's one issue here. There's something called sovereign immunity. That's a Florida law that could get Castro Walker and Napier could be dismissed out of this thing as a possibility. So this thing has been a huge mess that's been going on now for, gosh, has it been 2 years, I believe? This has been going on at least, maybe 3. And I don't know if he's ever going to get his money. I know he wants it bad, and he's going to do everything he can to get it.
Don't hit the face!
Shut up!
Not the face!
Mr. Gazzo wants the 200 now. Yeah?
I'm broke. Honest to God, I'm broke.
Mr. Gazzo says I should get the 200 or break your thumb. You understand?
Please.
Huh?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Now, I'm surprised I've not been contacted by the judge or the attorneys because I have the original contract. Many of you know that. And I've had it this entire time, and I'm really surprised. You know, you would think, well, maybe in discovery, they'll want this contract. It's the original one, like I said, and it's on the very best paper. I double-checked it, so I know it's legit. And don't ask me how I got it. It was not easy. The links I go for you folks to get you the information and keep you informed about all these big stories. It's very dangerous, but I do it anyway. So we'll keep abreast of this and see if Rashada ever gets his money. I would think at some point he'll get some sort of compensation. I don't know if it's it'll be the full 13.85, but man, they messed him up. He ought to at least get the money that he was going to get at Miami. Anyway, let's talk about something else. Georgia Tech has agreed to play Tennessee in a home-and-home to replace Nebraska because Coach Matt Rule, who I also affectionately call Coach Chicken Shit, backed out of a home-and-home with us, and it's in 2026 and 27. So it put Tennessee in a real lurch. Fortunately, they got a break, and we're able to play Georgia Tech because they stepped up. And we'll be doing a home-and-home with them, which that'll be great. I think we are very fortunate that Georgia Tech was kind enough to work this out with us. I think it'll be a great game. Georgia Tech's a very good team. The Ramblin' Wreck, they have improved a lot. They got a good, tough coach there, and I think that'll be a heck of a ball game. Georgia Tech almost beat Georgia last year. And here you see it. Of course, the one will be in Atlanta in 2026, and then they'll be in Knoxville in 27, September 12th, and then September 11th. And Georgia Tech said, as we invest and elevate Georgia Tech football, securing elite-level competitions a critical component. We're thrilled to renew our rivalry with Tennessee and look forward to the matchups. Tennessee and Georgia Tech have a long history, and I know there's going to be some older folks that are super excited about this series, and the hell with Nebraska. And I'm sorry I used profanity with Matt Rule in Nebraska, but I'm really ticked off at what they did.
You don't need to hear things like that. You just a boy. You need to think about good thoughts while you're still a boy.
And, of course, they canceled their spring game. They're the biggest chickens that ever was. Not Nebraska fans. I want to separate it. Matt Rule, he's the chicken shit. Not Nebraska fans. They're actually good people, and I've dealt with them when we played them in, it was back in 2000s, early 2000s, and they whooped up on us. But they were very reasonable fans. It was at a bowl game, kind people. It's just they've hired a chicken. Well, you know, I've said that enough. He's a piece of crap, in my opinion. Maybe he's a decent person in his personal life, but I can tell you as a coach, you don't walk away this short-sighted, dadgum a year away and put us in this lurch. We were very fortunate Georgia Tech stepped up. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 hit that little button right there. It won't cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. And right over here is a recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.